Hello and welcome dear friends. In today's video we'll learn how to create this cool text logo animation inside Cinema 4D and Adobe After Effects. So let's get started. Okay, I'm inside Cinema 4D and I'm going to create this text logo by using spline tools and change the font to something like light to black. Okay, that's it. Because every kind of logo that we bring inside Cinema 4D, it has the basic shape of an spline, and then we are going to extrude it. Okay, let's make the offset like 50. And let's add some bevel to the edges. 0.1 is okay, and maybe decrease the offset. Okay, let's create a background for that. Okay, that's better. And I used this spline in order to extrude it and create a kind of background for the text logo. Okay, the bevel, change the bevel to 0.1 and let's adjust the position. Okay, that's better. We create a basic material for the text logo, and this is what we have so far. It's better to rename them to appropriate names: text logo and text logo BG. Now let's go to Mograph and add a Voronoi fracture, and we make the text logo a child of Voronoi fracture. Voronoi fracture, basically it subdivides an object that is used as a child of this and we can use different things to control how the object is going to be divided. So I'm going to use this cube in order to divide the object. I mean divide to text logo. Okay, I'm going to drag it in the source, and as you can see, I've divided the text logo using the cube. And the more we add to the segments of the cube, the more subdivides we have from the logo. And let's add some effectors, maybe the plane effector. Okay, let's change the position for z-axis. And let's also change the scale. Okay, now in order to control how the effector affects in the scene, it's better to change the fall off, and I'm going to use a box field in order to control the way that the effector is going to affect the object. Now as you can see, when I move the effector, the animation is going to happen. Okay, we need to create some keyframes. Okay. Go to frame 0 and make a keyframe. Actually, we create a keyframe for the position attributes and go to frame 90 and move the effector to the right and create another keyframe. And as you can see, when we play through the scene, you can see this is the animation that we have created for our logo. But in order to make it look great, we need to create different cameras for our animation, and let's increase the timeline to 120 frames and change the last keyframe. Okay. Let's add some rotations. Okay, that's nice. Let's have some renders. And now let's create the cameras. Maybe name this one camera 1. Okay, let's adjust the position for the first camera. Okay, go to frame 0 and create a keyframe. Go to frame 90 and change the position of the camera. That's good. Let's play it. Okay, it's nice. Let's create the second camera. Okay, let's change the position. Maybe we can use this angle for the second camera. Go to frame 30, create a keyframe, and then go to frame maybe 90 or 120 and move the camera. And create a keyframe. Okay, let's play it. That's nice. That's good. And now let's create the last camera. For creating a logo animation inside Cinema 4D, you can use 2 or 3 cameras and render the logo from different angles. And at the end, for the final camera, you can create the logo appear in the scene. Okay, let's increase the timeline, for example, to 300 frames. Okay, and start the animation of the last camera from frame 120. Okay, create a keyframe, then move to the frame 150, or maybe 180, and change the position of the camera. And create another keyframe. Let's change the interpolation from linear to spline. Then choose the both keyframes, and from window menu go to timeline Effectors. We're going to create a kind of as is animation. So select the last keyframe and drag the handle to the left. Let's play it. Okay. I think that's good. Or maybe change the position of the camera a little bit. Let's play it again. Yeah, it looks nice. Okay, now let's create some materials for the objects of the scene. First, I'm going to create a material for the text logo. Kind of bluish, and let's add some reflections and change the layer panel to electric. Let's rename it to text logo. Okay, create another one for the text logo BG background. Okay, and let's change the color. That's nice. and let's add them to the objects. Okay, let's have a render. We need to make some changes to the render setting. Let's add ambient occlusion and global illumination, and change the anti-aliasing to best, and go and add sky and use an HDRI map. In the content browser, if you don't have them, just write the HDRI word and search for that. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Apply to the sky and add a rendering tag, compositing, and disable scene by camera option. Now let's have a render. Let's enable the secondary method to global illumination. Okay, that's better. If you want to learn about using HDRI maps and global illumination in order to light your scene, we have another video discussing this topic, and you can watch it in order to learn more. And let's change the samples from medium to high. Have another render. Okay, it's great. Maybe it's better to change the size of the text background. Change the width to 750 and the height to 300. Okay, that's nice. Now let's add our cameras for the rendering. Okay, in order to save your file, you can go to save and choose a location to save these renders. Let's make this one for camera 1, and we can also save the composition project file in order to have the 3D data about like the camera and other things we have in the Cinema 4D scene. We can use them inside Adobe After Effects. Change the file format to TIFF PST and activate alpha channel and activate straight alpha. And here we can choose the location of the file you want to render and save the file. Create another copy for the second camera, and you can change the position here, and another copy of the render setting for the third camera. Okay, now let's assign the number of frames in each render setting. For camera 1 from frame 0 to 90, and camera 2 from frame 30 to 120. Okay, and for the last camera, from frame 120 maybe to 270. From 120 to 270. That's good. And then render each camera one by one, and when the rendering is finished, I see you inside Adobe After Effects. Okay, welcome. Here we are inside Adobe After Effects, and as you can see, I have rendered all the camera files from Cinema 4D and imported all of them in Adobe After Effects. So here in Adobe After Effects, we are going to composite all these render files that we rendered from Cinema 4D, and we are going to add some extra elements to the scene in order to add more details in the scene. Okay, this is the camera one. Okay, let's create a kind of focus and defocus for the camera. Create a new composition and name it lens. And change the duration maybe to 6 seconds. Okay, that's good. Or 5 seconds. And change the frame rate to 30. Okay, here we need two solids, one black and one white. Create a solid and rename it to white. Change the color to white. Okay, and now create another solid and name it black and change the color to black. That's good. Now while the black layer is selected, choose the pen tool and create a mask, and press F to bring up the mask feeder and increase the mask feeder. We're going to use this composition in order to create some kind of focus and defocus for our camera. Add that lens composition to the scene. Create an adjustment layer and rename it to camera lens, or maybe camera depth. Okay, search for the effect camera lens blur and add it to the camera depth layer, and change the blur map to lens, and now hide it. As you can see, we have created a kind of depth, and let's make some changes. Okay, change the mask a little bit. And increase the blur values. And change the shape to triangle. If you want to create this focus and defocus effect inside Cinema 4D, it really takes a lot of time to render your scene. And for this kind of projects, you can create these focus and defocus inside Adobe After Effects, and that's really easy, and it doesn't take much of your time. Let's create a background for composition. Create a solid and apply the gradient ramp effect. Okay, let's change the position of the colors. Create the colors, some kind of bluish color. Change this one to black. Okay, go to camera depth layer and check edge behavior option. Repeat edge pixels. can see that how it affects the edges of the scene. Now let's create some elements. Choose the pen tool and create a line. Then add turn paths to that. And let's make some animations for the shape. And let's make it 3D and change the position. Rotate it 90 degrees in the Y in the Z rotation, Z axis. Okay. Let's make it a little bit longer. Okay, that looks nice. Let's put it under the camera depth layer. Decrease the size of the line, maybe to 1. It looks better. Create another duplicate and change the position. Let's change the length. Okay, that's better now. As you can see, this is what we have so far. Nice. Let's change the keyframes of the lines to make some variations. Yeah, that's it. Bring down the opacity. Let's create a grade for the background. Create a new composition, then create a new solid and rename it to grid. Now search for grade effect, just write grid and you can find it here. Add it to the layer and bring down the border to 1. It's good. Let's add it to the camera 1 composition and make it 3D. That's nice. Okay, good. Let's preview it. It is really nice. It is really nice. Now let's create some adjustment layers for the color correction of the scene. Search for curve effect. Add it to the color collection layer and just make it brighter. Let's create another adjustment layer for color correction. Rename it to CC2, and this time search for contrast, brightness and contrast, and increase the contrast. 21 is good. Before, after. Okay, it's good to create another one. Rename it to CC3, and this time I'm going to use some of the pre-built effects like magic bullet looks, and this effect has lots of presets for color corrections, and they are really great for color correcting your footage. And you can see it has a bunch of different presets that you can use in order to do color correction for your project. Yeah, I think I can use one of these presets. Go to enhancement, and I'm going to choose this one. You can see before, after. That is nice. Let's add hue and saturation to the main layer and just change the color a little bit. Color correction is one of the important issues when you are going to edit your footage. And as you can see how we could add extra details to the scene using different layers and different color correction effects. Yes, as you can see, this is what we have so far, and it looks nice. Okay, now let's move to the second camera composition. It's really easy now. We can copy some of these layers and just paste them there in the second composition. Okay. Let's add the grid here. Make it 3D. Let's scale it up. Okay, copy the shapes layer, paste them here. Okay, change the position. Okay, that's good. Maybe increase the stroke width. Okay, copy the camera depth, paste it here. Go to camera depth layer and change the layer to lens 1. Let's copy the 3 color correction layers and paste them here. Let's copy the hue and saturation effect and paste it on the main layer in the second composition. Yes, it's really nice. Now let's move to the camera 3 composition and do the same process. Just copy some of these layers and paste them there. Okay. Let's change the size, bring it down. Okay, I think it's better if I make it 3D. Okay, that's nice. With the shape layers, paste them here. Okay, change the position of them. Bring them down a little bit. Okay, continue copying the effects. Copy the camera depth and lens 1, paste them here. duplicate the lens 1 composition, go to lens 2, and here just change the mask. Okay, maybe something like this is good. Let's replace it here and choose the lens 2 layer. Okay, copy the color collection layers and paste them here. Let's review it. That is nice. So now we have to create another composition and put all these camera compositions together. Okay, create a new composition and rename it to render. Make it about 15 seconds long, and let's add all the camera compositions here. Camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3. Okay, split, and that's it. Let's review all the camera renders together. First camera, second camera, and the last camera. Okay, maybe you can add kind of blur at the beginning of the third camera. Add some blurriness at the beginning, maybe 15, and create a keyframe for that. Move about 1 second and bring down the blurriness to 0. Select the both keyframe and as you use them, select the last keyframe and go to edit graph and bring it to the left. Okay, this is for today's video. I hope you have learned something about creating logo animations using Cinema 4D and Adobe After Effects. But don't forget to subscribe our channel because we're going to create more and advanced animations, logo animations inside Cinema 4D and After Effects. And I hope you enjoyed today's clip, and till next time, goodbye.